Hello, dear ones. This is Annette, back again with another moment for chronic wellness. And today we are talking about a really important subject, which is how to cultivate a rich inner life. One of the things that chronic illness does is that for many of us, it feels like we are trapped in a prison, and that prison is our own body. And finding ways to still tap into something that is deep and rich and meaningful in the midst of what is oftentimes great physical and emotional suffering can be really difficult. So I'm going to address this one, as I do with so many subjects, in parts or chapters. And so this is chapter 1. And today's thought is sponsored by Gabor Mate, one of my favorites. And he is a physician from Vancouver, Canada, who researches a number of things, but two of his broad areas of expertise are in the origins of autoimmune diseases and cancer, and in the origins of addiction. And in one of his seminal works called When the Body Says No, about those origins of autoimmune disease and cancer, he talks about a whole wide array of case studies about a variety of cancers and autoimmune diseases. And in one of the autoimmune diseases he's examining, which is ALS, or sometimes more commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease, he talks about Stephen Hawking's, world-renowned, brilliant scientist of our era. And the fact that Stephen Hawking outlived the predictions for his life expectancy by exponential rates. So he was predicted to live 2.5 years at the time of his diagnoses. And he outpaced that number by a factor of something like 30. And part of the reason that Hawking and Mate attribute that to is the fact that Stephen was really able to divorce himself from his body and live what Mate called the life of the mind. So the fact that he could sort of release and relinquish the care of his bodily needs and embrace the ability to just really live in a world between his two ears became for Hawking kind of a life raft. And while I and most of us are not in the position where we can so thoroughly divorce ourselves from our bodily experience, or even have the kind of help that would enable us to not care or have to worry about how we're feeding ourselves, how we're, going to the bathroom, how we're getting to bed, how we're getting bathed, those kinds of things. It does pose an interesting example for how then can I enrich what I am doing in my mind to live more fully in a world of my own creation, in some place that can give me solace, that can give me refuge, that is more under my control than my bodily experiences. I cannot control what happens to me, what happens to my body, and yet I can control my response to it. I can control a lot about my attitude and a lot about what I choose to focus my attention on. And so that's part 1, today's thought for how to start to cultivate a rich inner life. Thanks so much for being here, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts on this matter. And I do believe that whether or not my body is ever healthy again, my mind and my spirit can be well. Talk to you soon.